Think about this for a second. More than 2,500 years ago, a man was born who would completely reshape the moral foundation of Asia. But here's the crazy part. He wasn't a prince, he wasn't a warrior, he wasn't some prophet. He started with absolutely nothing. This is the incredible story of how he turned a life of failure into timeless greatness. So, you gotta ask, right? How does someone who was, by every measure of his time, a total failure, become one of the greatest minds in all of history? It's a massive paradox. And the answer, well, it's basically a manual for anyone who feels like the odds are stacked against them. First off, he had absolutely zero political influence. No powerful family, no connections to open any doors for him, none. Then you've got the money problem. He was born into poverty in a society where, let's be honest, wealth pretty much determined your worth and all of your opportunities. So from the outside looking in, his future looked bleak. I mean, there was just no clear path forward, no reason for anyone to believe he would ever amount to anything. Okay, so where does a story like this even begin? It starts in the fire. It starts with hardship, where his character was forged from a very, very young age. And man, the hits came early and they came hard. His father died when he was just 3 years old. Now, in ancient China, that meant losing way more than just a parent. It meant losing your status, your identity, your whole place in the social order. He basically grew up an outsider, watching other kids enjoy privileges he could only dream of. But this is where he makes a choice that changes everything. Instead of letting all that bitterness just eat him alive, he turned his disadvantage into a superpower. He became this relentless observer, studying everything: human behavior, rituals, history, morality. While everyone else was playing, he was learning. And this quote from him just perfectly captures his mindset. The gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. You see, he didn't see his suffering as some curse. He saw it as his training. He got it. Friction was necessary to become polished. Trials were the only real path to perfection. His entire childhood was his training ground. So that's his childhood, but what comes next? Well, all that early hardship just gave way to decades, literally decades of rejection. This wasn't some quick rise to fame. No, this was a long, slow walk in the dark. Just look at this timeline for a second. At 15, he decides, I'm dedicating my life to learning. But for the next 35 years, nothing but rejection. He's mocked for being poor, he's ignored because he has no connections. He spends his prime adult years doing menial jobs like managing storage barns, work that was so far beneath his potential, it's not even funny. And you know that famous quote, "It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop"? That wasn't just some nice saying for him. That was his survival strategy. That whole philosophy was born from those long, empty decades. The guy had an almost superhuman patience because he understood that the key wasn't speed, it was just persistence. And here's the really critical part. While the world was just completely dismissing him, his inner vision never, ever wavered. To society, he became invisible, just some forgotten guy doing an unimportant job. But in his own mind, oh, he was already preparing. He saw himself as a teacher of nations in training. The world just hadn't caught up yet. And then, after all that waiting, everything changes. After decades, his wisdom is finally recognized. But this big moment of triumph, it quickly becomes his greatest test, because he comes face to face with the raw jealousy of political power. 50. He was 50 years old when he finally got his shot. I mean, think about that. An age when most people back then were considered old, their best years long gone. But for Confucius, this was just the beginning. He stepped into a position of power and immediately started putting his ideas into action. And you know what? The results were stunning. Corruption plummeted, crime dropped, justice actually returned to the land. He was so good at his job that the neighboring states got scared. And did they try to learn from him? No way. They conspired to tear him down. He was betrayed by the very system he had worked so hard to fix. This comparison here is just so powerful, right? The power his rivals had was fleeting. It was based on force and it was easily betrayed. But the power Confucius was building, the power of wisdom, that was immortal. You couldn't confine it to one state, and most importantly, you could never ever take it away from him. In fact, his exile only made his message spread even further. And this right here, This is the moral blueprint he built during all those years of wandering and teaching. This is the core of it all. Discipline over desire, virtue over greed. Every single one of these principles is a direct challenge to the corrupt world he was living in. He taught that who you are is infinitely more important than what you have. This is the wisdom that conquered a continent. So, why does the story of some guy who lived 2,500 years ago matter to you right here, right now? Because his life is a roadmap. Let's break down the key lessons we can actually apply today. Okay, these 5 points are really the heart of his journey. Number 1, you can start from absolutely nothing and still change the world. 2, failure is training, it is not defeat. 3, your age does not limit your greatness. 4, your character is your ultimate weapon. And 5, and this is a big one, learning never, ever ends. So if you're out there right now and you feel lost, like you just don't know which way to go, or if you feel underestimated, like the world just doesn't see your real value, that your potential is being totally overlooked, remember this man. You see, his goal was never to impress the world. He was focused on the one thing he could actually control, himself. His whole game was about self-mastery, and by achieving that, he became immortal. And that leaves us with this final thought. He proved that the path to changing the world starts with changing yourself. The ultimate power isn't in controlling other people. It's in mastering your own character, your own discipline, your own mind. So the real question isn't what the world is going to give you. It's what will you master?